Oh my God. Hi, Team Hot Mess. My name is Jen, and I'm your captain. And this is the first video podcast that we're going to do because I've decided that we're also going to put everything on YouTube. Yes, for real. And I know I'm sitting in just a room and, I'm trying to create this thing so we're all getting better. If you're an entrepreneur, I want you to get better. If you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, I want you to get better. If you're an alien, I want you to get better. So I decided, you know what? Let's just put this on YouTube and make sure that we reach all the people that we got to reach. So feel free to share this and let's make sure together that we all get better because, Team Hot Mess and with Jen is there for you. Feel free to follow me on socials, go on LinkedIn, go on Medium, go on TikTok, go everywhere. And let's follow each other. I also want to hear from you guys because soon we're also going to plan the first guests. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So hyped up. All right, for today's episode, I want to talk about the psychology of a day off per month because this is something that a lot of people get wrong. I got my notes because I don't want to get it wrong and I want you to learn something. I want you to go deep and really give yourself that break by the end of this episode. Please listen to this and make sure that you're there for yourself. Make sure that you grant yourself that day off, that time off, and let's dive in right now. So let's get honest about something that the most founders, creatives, 9-to-5 people get totally wrong. A day off. And I'm not talking about a long vacation. I'm not talking about this whole shebang that you're planning with your family. I'm talking about a day just for you so that you will get better. Scheduled, sacred, regular. Yes, regular time for yourself. And by that, I really mean one day a month. There's actual psychology behind why this matters, and we will be getting into the nitty-gritty so that you, as a busy person, whatever type of person you may be, that you will implement this by the end of this episode, all right? And I'm also going to share my own rituals, my own outcomes, how I do it, how I plan it, and, as I live in the Netherlands, I know I'm in a very, very privileged position because here we have regular work times. We don't really surpass 40 hours a week as normal workers. Even entrepreneurs, they normally grant themselves a little bit more. And I want you to learn from that wherever you are on this beautiful earth and to make sure that you're also going to implement it. So let's dive in. All right, let's first dive into the research. And since there's a lot of research going on, I'm also going to read from my notes because I need them. They're very deep, and I will also share an anecdote, and this is how it's going to work throughout the podcast from now on. Especially if you're seeing me on YouTube right now, you will see me glancing at my notes, but it's because it's necessary, honey. We need this, okay? My team Hot Mess needs this. I, as a person, need this because I also need to be reminded why a day off once per month is necessary for me and for my creativity and everything. First of all, let's talk about creativity and rest. So there was this research by Harvard Business Review in 2019, and employees who take regular breaks are 30% more creative and more productive. So that means that if your employer is granting you a day off, and if they're also granting you some creative time where, you're allowed to just walk around, go outside, take a breath of fresh air without your phone, without anything around you, and just get out there, that means that you're more productive because your brain gets the space to think. Your brain gets the space to do its thing. And if we're only booming and flaming around the workplace, we will not get that. So they researched it, and I love Harvard Business Review. They do really good stuff. It just means that it's necessary for us and for our brands because we're basically creating burnouts for ourselves, which is highly dangerous. The University of Illinois also studied it in 2011 already. And mental downtime also leads to better problem solving and insights. Get that? So get yourself that downtime, because if you're walking around or if you're just going to a museum or whatever, all of a sudden solutions will pop up because you're creating that breath and that pause within your brain so that you actually get to certain conclusions. I mean, we all get our best ideas when we are under the shower, right? We all get our best ideas when we're on the toilet and when we're walking around somewhere, when we're doing our groceries, when we're doing all that stuff. So please take these researches seriously, Google them, make sure that I'll try to also put them in the show notes so that you can read through them because they're very interesting. Okay. And it's also good for burnout prevention. So the World Health Organization also researched it in 2019. Burnout is now recognized as a syndrome, all right? Because a lot of people are getting it, way too many. I've also been fighting a pre-burnout for the past couple of months, and those came accompanied by panic attacks, which is very scary because I've been on and going and just flaming around 24/7, which is not healthy for us as humans. So please take care of yourself. Anywho, I wasn't done yet. One of the most effective ways to prevent is regular detachment from work. And not just work. All right. It's also good if you allow yourself time off from your family, from your partner, from anything that comes with life. Just have a self date. That's great. It's a great way to do it. Have a self date. I know it can be scary, but it's very necessary for us as humans to take care of ourselves and to make sure we grant ourselves time with ourselves in our own mental capacity and within our means, of course. But it could be just an hour walk outside. Stanford also studied this phenomenon in 2015. Productivity also sharply declines after 50 hours per week, and after 55 it plummets. So any job that gives you a contract of 50 hours or more is basically bad for you. Mentally, it drains you and you're not getting the time to recalibrate within your own brain and within your own body. So please make sure that you don't go over the 50 hours. Here in the Netherlands, our maximum contracts nowadays are 40. So we are very privileged, very lucky yet again. But for everyone around the globe, 50 should be our maximum because then we're taxing our brains so much. So also within a business, if you're a business owner, please make sure that you don't go above the 50. You're thinking, oh my God, I'm working so hard and I'm working so much and I'm doing so much, but actually it's very counterproductive because you're just taxing everything very, very heavily. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. And I want you to grant yourself some creativity, some space, some mental health. That would be great because mental health right now is really declining basically anywhere on earth. So please take care of that. All right. So now for the well-being and mood. UC San Francisco also researched that in 2022. Short, regular breaks lower cortisol, so your stress levels, and improve emotional resilience. Cortisol is something that we make when we're in stressful situations, and it's basically a spike of brain activity. And that makes sure that we can survive within stressful situations. So if you're in a dangerous situation, or if you have to score a little bit more at work, or if you all of a sudden have 5 kids to keep an eye on, for example, then cortisol can come in handy. But if you produce cortisol on the longer run, that can also translate into burnouts, into overworking, into extreme tiredness. And from what I've noticed with myself, it really translates into basically narcoleptic episodes. I get really tired and I'm just basically sleepwalking through my day, which no one wants because I'm not sharp. I'm not there. And I want to be there for, my friends, my family, my pets, everything that I have going on. So let's lower that cortisol within your brain and only use it when it's necessary, because it's not necessary to continuously just go and run and do all these things. And also, the emotional resilience part, you would think that when you're working a lot and when you're working hard and when you're also just always on for everything around you, that you're emotionally resilient. But resilience is built through good rest. So if you want to become stronger, if you want to become more resilient, please make sure that you rest, because otherwise, overall, you're going to be burnt out again, which is just a very sad situation for yourself and for the people around you. All right? And now let's dive into why monthly. So why periodically? Why do you have to schedule it for yourself? And also how I do it, so that maybe you can learn a little bit from that, because I love to share my monthly days off with you guys. So consistency, build resilience, just like we just discussed, and not just recovery. Gretchen Rubin from the Happiness Project, they basically keep projects like this in check. They also research this in order to make sure that governments and everything have something to fall back on, because everyone thinks, yet again, we're getting more resilient as we're working more. But you also, yet again, according to the Happiness Project, we also need to build in breaks so that we are well rested and happier. If you're well rested, you will score better at work, at home, anywhere. Once again, another project that researched this topic, and just make sure that you read them, Google them, do something. And, there's a couple of things when I have my day off that I like to do, and ways that I like to be there for myself, ways that I like to recharge. What I do, first of all, I think I've already told you before, especially on my Dutch podcast and with my Dutch Business Club members, and staying coming in, the English Business Club is also starting next week. So this is definitely going to elevate the way you're working. This is going to be fucking great. But the way that I like to do it is, I schedule my breaks, for example. There's no way around it. So from 12 to 1:30 in the afternoon, I'm on my break. And you can call me if you want, but I will not pick up. So that's already a way of scheduling some rest for yourself. And normally during my break, I'm outside. So I take a walk for basically an hour, and I make sure that my brain gets all the rest it needs, or I listen to a podcast, or I just enjoy the birdies, or, I'm doing that. So that's definitely a way that I'm scheduling how I'm resting. But next to that, my monthly days off are basically in the middle of the week, so preferably a Wednesday. And why a Wednesday? Wednesdays are the toughest days of the week. You can also check this out. This is very interesting. On Wednesdays, we're super tired because we've been on full fire on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, we realize that we're halfway through the week and we're like, oh my God, there's more coming. I have to do more. Oh no. And if you recharge on a Wednesday, you're granting yourself a breath of fresh air. Whether it may be that you're sleeping in or going to a museum, which is a very big favorite of mine, you're just granting yourself that breath of fresh air. And then you're recharged for the rest of the week. So Wednesdays, you can keep them low key and you can just, be there for yourself. I schedule them basically every 4 or 5 weeks. And I just put in my calendar, so on my TidyCal or whatever, if you're trying to book a call with me, the whole of Wednesday is not available because I have to be there for myself in order to give myself that breath of fresh air. And what I like to do is at least every 3 months or so to go to a museum, walk around and just check out the arts, check out the people. I love people watching. I love sitting at a cafe and just watch all the people go by. That gives me a lot of inspiration for people approaches within my business. When I look at art, I can literally feel my brain exhaling, which is also very important, and art and classical music are good for that because they have a calming function on your brain. And I also have some lazy rituals. So sometimes I will feel like doing nothing, so I will schedule a pajama day. And on that day, if I don't want to, I don't have to put on any makeup. I don't have to say hello to anyone. I could just order food. I can just be there for myself. I can even be in bed for the whole day. And that's not because I'm lazy, it's because I'm granting myself this rest and this self love that I have to be there for myself. So if I'm overly tired, why would I try to overfunction? Because that's only going to work counterproductively, right? So even a pajama day and a little walk in between, perfect. That's a perfect day. And also, new ideas do pop a little bit better. Yet again, I know I'm stressing this point so much, but new ideas pop up a lot better when you're not forcing them. And also, there's this default mode network research in 2001. 2001, we're talking about. And still, I see this going wrong every single day with my business club members, with my friends, with my family. But they just pop better. So take the research seriously and dive into it. And I'm making it smaller for you so you can understand it and so that you can actually give yourself that break that you deserve. It works for me because when I get back home, I have all these ideas. I have all these fresh insights. I have had a day with myself or maybe with a very good friend because, the walk and talk is also a very magical thing. And I just write them down. I journal them. All of a sudden I find inspiration for things. All of a sudden I have like this new lust and this new love for conducting my business, for growing as a person as well, which is also very important. So for me, it really works. So I'm very curious, and this is not just, you're not just here to listen to stuff, you're here to learn. So I'm very curious about what you will learn from it and how you will deal with this. So let me know, please tag me on your socials with, hey Jen, I've scheduled my next day off on this and this date, and then that is what I'm going to do. And I will be your accountability partner. I would love that for you because I want you to become more successful, more creative, more problem solving, and also more relaxed. All right? There are a couple of things that do get in the way. And the biggest one that I'm also guilty of is the guilt and hustle culture. People are so good at guilt tripping each other. Let's think. For instance, at work, when I was still working with my big client, they always said, oh, I need it by tomorrow because then I can also glance over it and I can make sure that things end up in the right documentation and, our marketing job is well done and blah, blah, blah. So basically people are guilt tripping me to deliver things on time and to make me work extra hard while that's being very counterproductive. And at some point with my then very, very kind manager, we did find out that was being counterproductive. And we had a team meeting about it and we were like, okay, we have this hustle culture here. We always want to go, but that's just highly unhealthy. What if we grant each other half an hour of playtime per day? And with play, we mean reading up on new marketing articles, even reading a book, going out for a walk, and that worked really well. So for me, whenever I felt like I was stuck, I just told my colleagues, guys, I need to go out for a little bit. I need to put my thoughts aside, and there's this problem I have to solve and I want to solve it while taking a walk. And people were very respectful of that. People do think that they are what they do, and that mentality makes resting feel lazy, which is so painful. So let's stop doing that with each other. Another thing that gets in the way is FOMO. Everyone has huge FOMO. We all want to be on our phones. We all want to be on the internet. We all want to be on the top of our jobs. We all want to be everywhere at the same time. But, hun, that's not gonna work. So, let the FOMO aside for at least one day a month and make sure that you get to take care of yourself. All right? FOMO will always be there, but it's definitely a choice that you can make for that one day a month where you can be like, you know what? I don't care about this dang FOMO. I know how to live without it for at least a day. And when you've done that for a day, I bet your ass that you will come back to me and that you will say, oh my God, Jen, it was so zen. I was so happy, even on my 1 hour walk. I'm going to do it more often. It's just a habit that you need to build up. It's a choice you got to make, and it's a habit that you need to build. And I want this for you so much. And next to that, there's also neglect and overwork patterns that we also all implemented in our brains, which is such a sad thing because as soon as we think that we're neglecting something or that we're not overworked or it's just, oh, I can see people getting tired all along the road, within the club, within employees, within all that stuff. I learned to equate being needed with being worthy. That sounds toxic as fuck. And now I'm unlearning that. So for me and for my business and for my clients, I always thought that me being needed meant I was worthy, which is such a stupid thing to think. I mean, of course they need you. Of course your client or your job or your spouse or whatever, they do need you as a person, but they also need you to be healthy. They need you to be happy. They need you to function well. So think about that for a minute as well. All right? And now I also do have a couple of questions for you because I want you to implement this. I want you to be there for yourself and to implement all these little things, to maybe, look up the research points if you want, of course, and to also think about, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be there for myself? So if I would be asking you, what would you do if you could take one day off per month? What would that be? And just take a piece of paper. I nearly wanted to say a piece of pen, but no. Take a piece of paper, grab a pen, and imagine you just have 8 whole hours off. Write down what you would like to do, and I really don't care what it is. If you want to do a pajama day, go do a pajama day because that means that your body is screaming for it. If you want to go see a museum, go see a museum. If you want to go on a hike, go on a hike. Be there for yourself. So write down, what do you want to do? And also share it with me. I would love to read that because then, yet again, I can keep you accountable for all that stuff and we can be there for each other. So, as for my next day off, I think I'm going to go to a museum again. I haven't been there for a while and I would like to get some fresh inspiration. And I also really like to people watch. So, for me, it's going to be a museum. Just get out and, grab my umbrella because I live in the Netherlands, it's necessary. And I'm just going to go to a museum. Also, just DM me your daydream off, where that may be on Instagram or on LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever, so I can be your accountability buddy. I would love to do that for you because even typing it out to another person already does like a big psychological trick for yourself. You're like, oh my God, I typed it out. I have to do it. I have to go do it right now. I don't believe in not sharing dreams. I don't believe in not sharing wishes. I believe in actually keeping each other accountable. So feel free to DM me and I'll be your buddy within that. And also, if you're already knowledgeable, if you're already doing these days off, let us know whatever your idea breakthroughs were on your days off. I bet you were walking around somewhere, you were maybe doing some shopping because you went on a shopping spree on your day off, or you just played a couple of games and you're like, oh my God, X, Y, and Z at work is solved now. I got it. Let's go. And that's literally the way it works, but I would love to hear that from you as one of my listeners. So here are a couple of takeaways from this episode for you. Rest is productive, okay? You don't have to be a psychologist to know that your brain and heart need downtime. You just need to be there for yourself. It's that easy. Literally, you don't have to always be on and run and go places and blah 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 and oh my god. I mean, when my ADHD kicks in, I also want to do that, but it's highly unproductive. So even I have to sit my ass down and I have to be there for myself. It's that simple. I invite you to be there for yourself, to share your stories, and to make sure that you get all the love and all the rest that you need for yourself. So make sure to check that out. When are you going to plan your daily or monthly day of rest? And just make sure that you're doing it because you deserve it, all right? You deserve it. Your children deserve it. Your partner deserves it. Your work deserves it. It's better for everyone in the longer run. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope this was very helpful to you. And if there's anything, let me know. And last but not least, Team Hot Mess, starting next week, we're starting the group on Instagram. So you can follow me there @withgenevieve to hop on in on our group chat and on our whole ecosystem for entrepreneurs who want to get better mentally, physically, in business. We're there for each other. And we're starting next week. I'm so excited about it. We already have a couple of members running around, and I just want to be there for you. I want you to learn. I want you to improve. I want you to become the best version of yourself without burning yourself out. So please check that out on my Instagram. You can also follow me around on Medium, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on TikTok. I'm all over the place, and let's be there for each other. All right. Big kisses. Bye-bye.